Hello again, friends. Right, here's another video today, and it's in two parts. Please bear with me. The second part might not go down quite so well with you guys, but you know, a lot of the things that I have to say, I think, are quite valid. And I've got my two cats in the background here. My Luna here. She had a bunch of kittens, and we had to keep the floof. This is the floof. So hello floof to everybody. She was named Floof because out of all the four, this is the biggest, the fluffiest one, and my son called her Floof, so that's stuck. Say hi Floof there, you're going to have a lot of fans now. Hey, beautiful little girl. She's so gorgeous. She just lays over, rolls over to be snuggled and tummy rubbed. Lovely girl. And you, Luna. So there's my beautiful cats. So yeah, let's go back to Corbyn's policies. I think I've said before that, you know, his policy about building a central bank in the north, that would absolutely be a genius move and would appease the banking community, because I know that a lot of his policies sort of lay in different areas, the anti-war, the housing and everything. So the banking community would, I hope, that would appease them to have, you know, to start reaching out across the nation, to have that centralised bank, one in the north and one in the south as well. To me, you know, that's something that I wonder why it's never been thought of before. In regards to these MPs who are sort of going on and on about Corbyn having a fan club, I've seen more of that as well today on there by, you know, some top people speaking about exactly that, but it's just absolutely bizarre to me. And although I can understand where he, you know, this chap was saying about this shouldn't be about personalities, it should be more about policies, and I've said absolutely on my part it's about policies, it's about the anti-austerity, it's about, you know, this central banking thing was amazing. It would be hard not to actually be voting for somebody who is again, who's the other candidate has absolutely no personality whatsoever, and you know, Jeremy Corbyn clearly has. So if we are voting for personality, it's not deliberate. These Labour MPs anyway, they've all got their own agendas, as I've said before. It's been led by, this coup has been led by the multimillionaires using Rupert Murdoch to support them in their self-serving agenda, and those following are showing just how easy manipulated they are using bullying tactics that they've used. And you know, I've even had you know, a share of it, and I know that Jeremy Corbyn has said to ignore it, but if we all remain as magnanimous as Jeremy is, then I don't think we'll do too much harm. They have seized upon every agenda they can to overthrow Jeremy Corbyn, and but his response just proves and maintains his position in every way, the anti-war position, and you know, the way that he can actually do deals with people that are very hard to do deals with. If we can love people that are hard to love, you know, then we're really doing quite well actually, and that turns things around. And this is what's hurting the Blairites, I think, having to hold their hands up as people who have supported all of this, and that really hurts the ego. And that's where a lot of all of this is coming from. The candidates who have put themselves forward have claimed to be for unity, but strangely none of them have accepted that the unity that Jeremy Corbyn has repeatedly handed his hand out to bring the party back together. Owen Smith actually pushed Angela Eagle out of the way, which may have been really rather a strange thing to do, because a large amount of these people have been talking about misogyny and you know, how he seems to have that effect with people. He has an anti-feminine approach with a lot of the things that he has done. I've had a few comments on my videos as well. One from somebody called Sycophant, who said that anyone notice how much in common the stuff supporting Corbyn is to be cheerleading for Syriza. Corbyn supporting EU really does tell us that we need what we need to know. He's just another elite servant like the rest. Well, my reply to that in disagreement is, I think that the bullying that happens within the party has been the problem for Jeremy Corbyn. The fact that they have now as good as cut him aside and set him adrift means he can now go ahead and put into place his vision of Labour and be independent in that vision that gives the people more power, not the self-serving MPs. He's listening to the people and not the MPs, not them, and that's what they don't like. I commented on an article written by R.C. Garrick. She is an MP in my constituency, Rochester and Strood, of the Mark Reckless of UKIP fame. We really do have a bunch of morons standing here. She's moved over to Owen Smith because she wants nuclear energy to be prioritised, and Corbyn has said no. I've read her article thoroughly, and in her article she said that she moved over to Owen Smith because Jeremy Corbyn is so steadfast in his decisions and his ways. Her move to Smith is clearly borne out of the fact that GMB has backed him due to his previous votes on fracking and nuclear energy and the building of a new nuclear station. Now, this lady, R.C. Garrick, is anti-fracking herself, but my guess is that she wants a weak-willed leader. Her hope is to sway his ideas, I suppose. And the things that we want most in a leader is somebody that won't be swayed. But she has switched sides because Jeremy Corbyn isn't so easily talked into things. And, you know, like Blair in the Iraq War was talked into or very much supported Bush's view, and that's been the case, you know, largely, that we trot along behind others, and we need a strong leader who won't be easily swayed. But I think in the case of Brexit, they did win Jeremy Corbyn over, clearly on that one. And I do think that there was a bit of uncertainty there for him. But he did campaign tirelessly for Remain on their behalf. His words were clear. If we're to Remain, things have to change. The problem here is when you vote Remain, you vote for things to remain the same. So it is in that incident, I guess, that Jeremy Corbyn was swayed. But regardless, we are where we are now, with a more independent leader who is now under no influence of the elitists and the rest of the sheep who have now exited. Glenn Harrison, thank you for your comments in regards to South Wales and how Owen Smith holds the accolade of being the man that lost the safest Labour seat in Britain there. And as you say, Jeremy Corbyn will wipe the floor with this loser, in your words, by the name of Owen Nobody Smith. Never before have the right wing of the party been so cornered. The Quislings are on the run, I say to all those backstabbing and front-stabbing traitors and feminazis such as Jess Phillips, Harriet Harman and Margaret Hodge. Form your own party and good riddance. Now, Margaret Hodge is the other one that has been today talking about Jeremy Corbyn's fan club. And, you know, they really have no idea. I think it really is quite bad to be talking about the members that way, the voters that way. It's almost like looking down on them and talking down to them as if we know what we're doing and you don't, stupid people. The thing is, though, Jeremy doesn't want to say goodbye and good riddance. They do seem to be stuck in their own version of political agenda that's self-serving, and he's asking them to all fall into line with putting the people first. Those who have been infected with this madness that seems to be affecting them so deeply they cannot get past their own cognitive dissonance. I've said that one before. And we can see what they do. And the word feminazis, that's quite strong. And no, I don't think that you know, are being misogynist in saying that. I understand where that's coming from, absolutely. And where I've said before, she's very clearly, Jess Phillips, who campaigns heavily for women, has actually backstabbed Angela Eagle and for has taken on Owen Smith's side of things, which is bizarre. I want to thank Plato's Cave. I don't know who you are, but I very much appreciate your comments. And again, of course, Andrew Hastings, every word resonates absolutely, especially where you were talking about the poetry that you're talking about. Corbyn measures up to all of these challenges, and I think the last line you were talking about in the poetry indicates a quality rare among today's politicians, a quality that distinguishes a true leader. Again, much appreciated. And there's some personal things that have happened to me along the way, which I won't go into on this video, but may on another in the future, which reminds me of my own battles with liars and deceivers, and how I've managed to somehow stand my ground. Some terrible things have happened, but ultimately you choose to remain magnanimous in that and refuse to lie. And I guess I resonate so strongly with Jeremy Corbyn on this stand, and that's why he draws this much attention, and I feel drawn to this type of person. He has the vision we need to lead us. This other Twitter debate I entered into with this other MP, I don't remember what his name is, but he really has some negative things to say about the party and the members, and this is the problem. They're really actually doing their own party down with all of this and the party members, and it's quite crazy. Right, now on to the second part of this video. I want to talk about, in the same respects, where I've talked about spirituality and religious, and now I'm not religious at all. Religion is a practice and something people do religiously, and spirituality is something that where we become consciously aware of our thinking. Someone recently said that they think that this is mindfulness, but I actually, I'd like to sort of talk a little bit about how spirituality sort of merges with religion. It can also merge very much with science, where it's into metaphysics and meta and all of the quantum physics as well. That it all kind of can intermingle if you look into these things, and I'm sure somewhere down the line, somehow, all of these things will merge into one. And some of these practices that we human beings get involved in will kind of, go out of the way a little bit. And it is the practices themselves and the way people worship that seems to be the things that are different, because each religion do have quite a lot in common in their way. And I think there's a video, what's it called now? Can't remember what it's called now. There is a video anyway that talks about all of the things that we think the same way, that they all are the same. So why don't we focus on those things more? And let's take forgiveness for example. We don't have to be religious to forgive, yet just like when we use the word Jesus or God, or the word forgiveness is then associated with the Bible. So if we say I forgive, or I forgive you, or something, or I pray for you, or we might be sort of saying it in a way just to be with a kindness or a thought for somebody, but it gets people's backs up. It actually makes people turn off and run away, and if you need to do that, that's fine. It also it makes people feel, that we're imposing something on them, but I'm certainly not doing that. To forgive is, in Wikipedia, it says to forgive is the intentional and voluntary process by which a victim undergoes change in feeling and attitude regarding an offence, lets go of the negative emotions, such as vengefulness, with an increased ability to wish the offender well. Letting go of the negative emotions can only benefit ourselves. It doesn't benefit anyone else, especially the one who hurts you. To hold on to the anger and resentment, it can only hurt ourselves. Forgiveness only makes our own lives better. The one who hurts you doesn't benefit either way. They don't know you're forgiving them unless you're actually holding your hand out and shaking their hand. You don't have to do that. If you want to forgive somebody, you don't have to do that. This is a personal thing for you to do for yourself. Only you are hurt by your resentments, and only you benefit from letting go. So if it's an ex-partner or whatever, if they have done terrible things to hurt you, they're still off there, with their new partner and everything. They're not hurt that you're hurt. So you're only hurting yourself, and this is the same way with politics. We need to actually get our egos, looked into, and stop using ego on this basis. And that's where Jeremy Corbyn is, sort of a very spiritual man. When I say, that, I mean it wholeheartedly. He's a spiritual man. He's not a religious man, but he's spiritual. And I'm not a religious person, I'm a spiritual person, and I'm saying I try to understand religion and the religious people. I don't expect or want them to give up their practices. I don't believe that the conflict in Israel and Palestine is a religious issue. It's a political issue where bizarrely both sides don't fail to actually practice their religion. And when you wake up to this, you find that you're experiencing a paradigm shift, and most of you don't even know it. Another misconception in regards to religion is the Quran. We hear that it's filled with hate. Now, I've sort of had a little look through it. I've got a lot of friends, like I've said, that I've deliberately befriended, and some weren't even deliberate. They just sort of came my way, and we resonate on a lot of things. So many things that I've actually said on a spiritual level, they've sort of said, well, these things are in the Quran. You are actually practicing Islam, but I don't actually feel that I'm practicing Islam. I'm certainly not practicing Christianity. I don't go to church. But some of the things that are in the Quran, I have to say, they're good things. And where we are dualistic thinkers, I think that where there's always a bad thought, there always can be that overriding good thought. I know some people, and having been somebody who is a Samaritan, talking to people and listening to a lot of people, when they're talking about schizophrenia, they're talking about this voice that's telling them to hurt themselves, to kill themselves. There's always this overriding voice that says this isn't true, this isn't real, and we've all got these two overriding voices. So when we read some of these scriptures, I think a large amount of them are, we can be angry about somebody. We might even want them dead. A human being might want somebody dead that has done so much harm to us. But there's always that other overriding voice. So if we're actually reading some of this scripture, it comes across the things that are very negative and kill the infidels and all of that, then there's additional things like don't confuse truth with falsehood or knowingly conceal the truth, and pay the poor due, and be good to parents, relatives, orphans and the needy, and speak kindly. Over and over again it says pay the poor due. It says to help the poor over and over again within this thing. And you know, it's something that we've got to sort of take heed on, that if we actually take from some of these good these books, some of the good parts of it, we are in some ways practicing some of their religion. And if we can actually merge with each other and say, look, we are, you know, together being a good person, and that's what it's all about. It goes on and it says, do not fight wars of aggression. Give your wealth to family, relatives and the needy. Set slaves free. Spend your money on good to help your parents and your family, orphans, wayfarers and the needy. There's a lot here. My good friend Sherry, on my Facebook, I've often gone to her and said, when there's been a bit of a debate going on about Islam and somebody is so very anti-Islam, it generally can be a American, I've found, and that's not to say that Americans are bad people, but when I've actually had any debates, they're also very God this, God that, very Christian minded, and so they're very oppositional to this. But if they actually saw some of these words, they would say, well, these are the same words that we are taught to practice in our religion. May not Allah by your oaths a hindrance to making peace among mankind. There is no compulsion in religion, and don't argue about things that you know nothing about. Do not be guilty or usury, doubling and quadrupling the sum lent. I don't know what that one means. I suffer not the work of another worker, male or female, to be lost, ye proceed one from another. So it even talks about gender equality there. Men and women proceed from another. Kill not one another. If you've got kill not one another, why would they use killing? It's this overriding voice that we need to be hearing that says that we can't, this is wrong, killing is wrong. Be kind to parents and relatives. Whoever participates in a good cause will be rewarded. Whoever participates in an evil cause will bear the consequences thereof. So, it goes on to say very good things, positive things. It is good to help the poor and make peace. Value justice for both poor and rich, even when it is when it adversely affects you or your family's interests. Don't lend money at unfairly high rates of interest. O people of the Scripture, do not exaggerate your religion. Other translations render this, O people of the book, do not be fanatical in your faith. There it says it for the people to listen to. Do not be fanatical in your faith. Whoever kills a human being, it is as if he has killed all of mankind. Whoever saves the life of one, it is as if he had saved the life of all. It's over and over again. It says, feed the clothed, don't steal, be kind, forgiving towards one another. I could go on and on and on with this. Over and over it says, pay the poor due. Good and evil are not the same. Repel evil with goodness, that maybe your enemies will become your friends. Be loving and kind to your relatives. Live peacefully with disbelievers. Again, be kind to your parents. Don't defame, insult, spy on or backbite one another. These are all very good things that we want to hear. So it's wrong to suppress people and live peacefully with disbelievers. Repel evil in goodness. It sounds like the same book which tells you to kill infidels. But we're all dualistic thinkers. Our brains work in dual capacity. When someone is offensive or offended, we may in our mind think, I wish this person ill. But there's always the second and overriding voice that says, this is wrong, I can't do this, I know right from wrong. That voice of consciousness is in us all. But what of those who are beheading innocents, those extremists who are not following that second voice, not following the words of their Quran? Well, perhaps the children that are orphaned by these bombs that have been sent to Israel, those are the children who have been orphaned by the agreement of illegal wars. And these are also religious people who have forgotten the true words that should override one another, written or spoken. But if you've lost your child or your parents and your homes, and if you had been displaced by the bombing of your home and those words, they would be very difficult because you just want to, how would you feel? How would you feel? We need to implement some kind of knowledge and understanding of why people become so hateful, gathering others to their fold to implement the worst of the worst in this world, because they themselves have experienced the worst of the worst. Another few words from the Quran said Jews say the Christians are wrong and vice versa, yet they both believe in those same scriptures. There's so much more that agrees within these scriptures than disagrees, and the anger within each human mind overrides the intention and action. And to understand this is to understand it in one another. We could bring peace if we acted in the same way that Jeremy envisions us all acting, that I envision us all acting, that I do act. Spirituality is the greater understanding in all people, including atheists, including Buddhists, including all of us. And it all comes down to how we respond to one another. I've been verbally attacked many times on here, and maybe in relationships as well I've been involved in. I've been misinterpreted, misheard, misjudged. And I've lost a lot too along the way because of this, and of course because of others' cognitive dissonance. But I will always continue to strive to be peaceful in the world and find peace in the world. Even my car that I drive has got on the back of it, be the change you want to see in the world. And I call her the love bug, and she's got flowers all over her. I think I've put my picture of that on Facebook at some point as well. There are more who do good in this world than do evil, and you just don't see the good being done in your papers. Good comes from a change of cognitive idea. No one benefits from these terrible things that we're doing to each other. We would all benefit from the greater good vision. And we do not need books to tell us how to be towards one another. What we need is a common sense underlying that serves you and your world. Genuine gratitude towards one another, and resonance with those people who change how we act and react in the world. It requires for us each to take responsibility for our own individual actions towards one another. It requires more love, and it requires a change in politics, in political leaders and their agenda, because it seems like madness to me that we look at a good man who clearly has goodness in his heart and they say he's weak. And it's beyond me, because they attack him, a man of dignity, and he remains focused on the pride of what creating peace is all about. So I'd like to thank those who have commented on my previous videos once again. Great points, and I don't mind anyone responding with anything that opposes what I have to say, as long as you do so with dignity, please. That's great. One comment, sorry, no, that's the last one. Sorry, I've already read that one out. Anyway, thank you. I did go on a little bit, but I hope it's kind of just made somebody think. And if it did, that's fantastic. Just one person. Brilliant. Okay, thank you again for listening, and love to all. Thank you. Namaste.